Hello everyone, welcome to Canteen Cup. My name is Scott, and today we are going to talk about tactical HF antennas part 2. I wanted to give you an alternate way to set up your tactical HF antenna. If you remember, in the last video I set up an antenna using a vertical element that I got from a surplus Army, probably a PRIC 47 HF radio, and it works well. However, that is something extra you have to carry. This antenna, everything is carried in this bag, and I've showed you the contents of this bag in the last video, and I'm going to walk you through what I did. I've already set the antenna up, and as you can see, I am sitting next to my truck underneath a canopy, and this is a homebrew canopy that I set up. It maybe cost me $35–40, I forget how much, but I'll show you that when we start doing the walk around. Anyhow, I have the antenna clipped to the back of my camper, and I will show you that, and it goes out straight that way, and I've got the other end hoisted up in a tree, and so that has given me a good horizontal element. However, I did not put the ground up yet, or the reflector, and I'm going to do that, but I wanted to show you a couple of things before I do that. First, like I said in my last video, I have two of these, and this is a 60-foot antenna wire, and I have one is strung out almost all 60 foot in that direction, and it is hooked up to my transformer, my match, and if I wanted to, I can hook this up to the ground side of my match and then run this right underneath. That is one way to do that, and that way you can have a end-fed wire with a reflector underneath it. The other thing I could do is I can take this and go that way with it, and then I would have a dipole antenna. So I could do that. A third way, and this is something, there we go, I have to untangle this a little bit, that I have done, and this is approximately a total of 40 foot of wire. I have one 20-foot section that has two 3/8 eyelets, and they will fit on the bottom of my match, my transformer, and I have one 20-foot section that has a 3/8 eyelet on one end, but on the other end is a pair of jumper cable clamps, I guess. Now, with this, I can do one of two things. One is I can hook this end up to my transformer. I can go out that way, and then I can clamp this on like this and go out another 20 foot, and that'll give me a good reflector. The other thing, and it's something that a lot of people don't think about, is your vehicle makes a great ground for your antenna. And so the other thing I could do, I just got stuff going all over the place today. The other thing I can do with this, and I'll show you an example once we get to moving around, is I can clamp this to some exposed metal, like my exhaust system or my rear bumper or my trailer hitch, someplace that has some bare exposed metal, and now my antenna is grounded to my truck, and this thing makes a great counterpoise. It really does. I've used it before. It works really, really well. So having these two pieces of wire, and this is I think it's 14 gauge, what they call flex weave. It's just spare stuff I had around. This is just a random length of wire. Typically anything more than 20 or 30 feet will make a good counterpoise. Won't make a good dipole. If you want to make a dipole, use, something of somewhat equal length, but for a counterpoise or a way to ground it to your vehicle, it's great. All right, so I'm sure I'll get tangled up again, but now I want to show you, and we'll kind of do a walk around of what's going on, and then I'll hook up the counterpoise or the reflector or the ground wire, depending on whatever you want to call it. It's all the same thing, and show you how that works with this particular antenna, and this will give you another antenna that you can use. All right, so let me adjust this a little bit. All right, here we go. So there's my transformer, my transmatch. If you notice, this is not attached to this. That would not be good. That would be a grounding situation. It would not be good. Your antenna probably wouldn't tune very well. So this Teflon washer insulates the truck from this antenna, and you can do that. I did it through the antenna loop, but you can also do it on the Teflon washer. As long as you don't let this touch this, you'll be good to go. So this is my homemade tarp. It's a piece of aluminum stock, and this tarp right here is from Home Depot. I think it's 6 foot by 8 foot. It's just a generic tarp. I drilled some holes up there. You can see where I have some screws, and then I just used the screws long enough that I just put the loops of the tarp into the screws and they stay put. I do have flat washers and wing nuts if it's real windy, and I can, you know, help it to stay on top of this. Back on this end, this is some Amazon Chinese tent stakes and a stake kit, and just not a whole lot, but it's enough to provide you some shade if you're operating portable. It gives you the opportunity to provide yourself some shade. I did park the truck somewhat west facing, so that the side of the truck that has the tarp is on the north side, of course the sun being on the south side, and that helps provide some shade. It works pretty well. Took me a couple minutes to set up. Very easy. I can make it more sturdy if I add more stuff, but you know, for what this is how I would probably normally set it up if I was going to operate for a short time, then pack up and go. And I do keep all the tarp makings in the truck. They do stay with the truck, so that's with me all the time. The table and the chair are in sometimes. All right, getting back to the antenna. As you can see, I'll show you this one more time, how this is set up. Very simple. This down here is where we'll hook the ground wire up when we get back to that, and I'll show you that in a second. But all I did is I strung the wire and I don't know if you remember, but I had some orange, if you can see, I can't tell if you can see it, but the winder for the antenna is up there, and then you see some orange string going over to a tree, and then it drops down. And then sorry for all the jostling. And then over here, this is the throw weight I used to get over that branch. Again, it all packs. There you go. And then this is just extra string. And then when I'm done, I just reverse it and wind everything back up, and away she goes. But this is an antenna that will easily tune down 80 meters and probably tune pretty well down into 160, depending on the counterpoise I use. Very simple. Takes a few minutes to set up. All right. So, coming back over here. All right. All right. So in this case, I'm going to take this 20-foot section that has the clamp, and we'll take this, and snug that down. So I've got the wire that's in the air is at the top, the counterpoise or the ground or the reflector is at the bottom. This is where you put your coax that goes to the antenna. And then now I can take this end and clamp it somewhere where I have exposed metal. One place I can do it is to my bumper, and I'll show you that. There we go. So I can clamp it here. I can also clamp it to the exhaust if I have a, try to scratch it a little bit. I can clamp it there. I can clamp it to wheel nuts if I have steel wheel nuts, to the frame underneath, anywhere. And it doesn't matter if the antenna is coiled at this point. Like I said, if I wanted to, I can take this and just clamp it. So now I have a 40-foot piece of wire, and I can string this out underneath. I can clamp this like this and then just string it out underneath, and I'd have another counterpoise. So there's a couple ways. Probably you can put both of these up under here and then make a V out. I'm not sure how well that would do, but again, it's the versatility of being able to adapt to your situation. In addition, if you don't have enough space, well, you can make your long wire shorter, and your counterpoise you can make longer or shorter, so you can adapt it to the space where you are. So this is my other tactical antenna. I've used both. They work very well. The vertical one works well. I can set that up. I bring up my antenna, boom, they tune very well. And so these are good antennas, but remember, your antenna is only part of the equation. The other part is you have to consider what the atmospheric conditions are, the ionization, the band conditions. You can have a great antenna and have bad band conditions and nobody's going to hear you, or sometimes you can have a crappy antenna and really great band conditions and everybody can hear you. So take it with a grain of salt. Again, this is my tactical antenna part 2. I hope you at least fuels your thought processes. Another antenna system I used is a ICOM AH4, which is kind of like this, except it's made by ICOM and it's a lot bigger. And you do the same thing. One end goes to your upper antenna, the other end either goes to ground or your counterpoise. And if you use it with an ICOM radio, it tunes very well, does a great job. So I hope this helps. It's really warm today. It's going up like 70. I had a tick on me yesterday. I couldn't believe that. But keep working your comms. You know, if you're the comms guy, then you should be really thinking about comms a lot more than other things besides the four basics. And you know, be prepared to serve your group, tribe, your people, your community, your family, whatever. So that's all I have. Everybody stay safe and stay secure, and we'll see you.